Well, hello again. It's SIA Austria, and today I am, as ever, with Jamie. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It's the first time I've been in a long time. How are you? You alright?
That's not true. People will start thinking I'm very, very evil, when actually I'm a really nice person.
Thanks for asking. It's been about 4 years.
Right, enough of the small talk. We are going to discuss today booking your ski holiday, and the best resort might not be the one you think is the best resort.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit like, to quote Paul, a controversial topic. I think I think people, you're either, a lot of people want to ski France because of,
French.
No, just because of
Voila.
Or your Courchevelles, your Mosines, your Chamonix, just because of the naming, the branding.
Are they like types of sushi?
Are you trying to do the funny? I'm usually the funny and you're the serious. Just because it's like a brand in itself, the resort is a brand in itself, so you can tell your mates, oh yeah, ski Chamonix, blah blah blah. Amazing resort, insane free ride. Not gonna lie, probably one of the top 5 resorts for skiing.
Would they say blah blah blah?
But French might. Don't want to insult any French people out there. But
so what you're saying
is, my experience is in the working in the ski industry is, it's not always about the size of the resort. Sometimes you can have the best. Size isn't important, is what I tell people all the time. It's you can have the best time in a smaller resort. We've got access to different mountain ranges here, and a lot of times I have some of the best days just on the local mountain with my guests.
Yeah, obviously there's an attraction with your Zermatt, your Verbier, Courchevel, Three Valleys, and it goes on and on.
By the way, Saint Anton,
yeah,
favorite resort. So
or Whistler, in Canada, or something
Whistler,
like that. It's very hard not to be attracted to those because from a marketing point of view, they have more money.
I think what it does is by booking it gives the guarantee, in the sense of you buying into, it's a huge resort. You're gonna
an atmosphere, I suppose.
Yeah, you're gonna find what you want there regarding terrain wise, snow wise, because of the size of the resort, maybe the elevation. But it's not always the case. If you think a few seasons
well, it's not
ago,
always the case,
with
is it?
Anton, I had a mate send me a friend send me a photo of her on about a 1 square meter patch of snow, and we were very deep in powder at the time over here in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So
I think we've said this before. People remember the quality of their holiday experience actually more connected to the weather as opposed to actually the resort.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem. You don't know, many of you who are booking holidays, are you actually going to get the conditions that are pictured in that brochure? Or are you going to be scraping and scratching around or getting rained on thanks to climate change? And that's why when booking a holiday, I understand people when they book a high resort, for example.
Yeah, glacier,
because
terrain, you're guaranteed
you're
snow.
probably guaranteed things. But what I would guard against with your money is not getting sucked into the places that are very expensive and overpopulated with tourists as well, when actually the experience you wanted, let's say, was a family holiday with the kids, where you didn't feel like you were just standing in queues, and après probably isn't that important to you people because you've got the kids, you're not going to be like, hitting it hard every night. So maybe you want to consider a different resort. You have to look at your goals, and and this is the trouble with the confirmation bias when we talk about that in psychology, is that people, they see all the positives in the Saint Antons, Verbiers, Zermatt.
There is so many positives in them as well.
There is, but there's a lot of
amazing places to see.
Other things that you have to be aware of, especially if you go the wrong week of the year. I can remember when Jamie and I, a long time ago, were just recreational skiers, and I would have said that some of our best holidays were definitely not like Zermatt, for example. Zermatt, when you hit you paid like at least 50% more than going somewhere else. And secondly, you got to the hotel and went, it's a bit disappointing actually when I'm paying for a 4-star hotel with nice food, allegedly. And it was quite average, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I experienced that with yourself as well. And I just think it's about, like, après, it doesn't matter where you are, it's who you're with. It's the same on, your vacation. So you don't necessarily need to go to these big resorts to be guaranteed a good time. And the smaller resorts you generally have, the less kind of Americanized, not that there's anything wrong with America, so big restaurants where it's all self-service. It's much more, if you come to Austria, you want some traditional Austrian style cuisine and things. Or maybe you don't.
No, you don't.
Depends. But you're going to have those kind of traditional huts, with the open fires and everything like that. When you're coming into the slightly smaller resorts, maybe it's a much more personal touch at ski schools, maybe because ski schools are smaller. They all know their staff by names. Because obviously if you've got 350 staff, like in a ski school in Anton, the boss isn't going to know everybody.
And that then questions the quality of a particular ski school as well. But you need to decide what products do you need on your holiday and what aspirations do you have with that holiday. So you might say product-wise, you're wanting a 3-star, a 4-star, a 5-star, or just a pension. I'm wanting to eat out. Okay, what else do I need? I need a ski school, or I don't need a ski school. Okay, I need après, or I don't need après. Do I need, do I need something close to an airport, or am I happy to travel from? And these are the things I would control first. Do I need height? Do I need a high resort because I am going at a time of year where it can be questionable with the snow, for example?
Yeah, if you're coming in pre or towards the post season, towards the end of the season, glaciated terrain, high elevation, you're going to be guaranteed something. Lower resorts will be closing up come mid-March, really. Snow's
I would imagine as well, a lot of these companies who sell, for example, ski holidays and things, they probably have a filter system in their webpage where you can say, I want to go to France, I want to be a high resort, and etc. But be careful of them, because they will direct you to where they want you to end up. Sometimes independently, you need to go on and check something. So this is a good point, like when you look at Google, for example. I can type anything into Google and have this confirmation bias, have something confirmed to me that I thought, is San Anton the best ski resort ever? Yes, San Anton's the best ski. And it'll come up with those answers. But if I equally wrote in, is San Anton really worth it? And are there better resorts, for example? It'll then go down that road of telling me, yes, there's better places to go. You're going to be slanted towards something. And that's why independently, you have to dismiss something from your mind. If you're thinking, I'm really got to go to Verbier, that's the place I want to be. Actually look into other places. What's similar? Can I type in, what would be an alternative to Verbier, for example?
I think it's all about, like, if I look back on holidays, whether it's with taking a guide in the past or anything like that, it's more about connecting with, good people, whether you're in a group lesson or, I'm running a group lesson and those people gel well or not. I think it's all about, like, just maybe having a little bit more information about trying to get someone who's got a few seasons experience when it comes to teaching you. If you are on holiday and you're not taking lessons, or you're taking private lessons as opposed to groups, and you can control the time that you start, get out first lift. Yourself, you hit the mountain early, you come off, you work in the office after about 10:30. Is the best skiing for me is first lift till about 10:30, because ski schools are starting roughly at 10ish, or getting on the mountain by the time they get up, it's about 10:30, and you've already done 2.5 hours in the bag, and then you can stop for a coffee.
But you're assuming the person wants to ski.
Or bored.
But the question is how many people come on a ski holiday, and that's actually not their primary goal.
Yeah.
It's not just the skiing. I mean, we ski with people like that, who want to stay in the nice 5-star wellness resort. Yeah. They want a chilled breakfast. Yeah. They want to then hit the slopes a bit more, later in their own pace. It's like, well, sometimes you look at it and think, I should have actually just went to Barbados. Went for a holiday, but
it's a different lesson. Then it's the crack. It's not such a technical teaching lesson. Maybe it's getting that balance between the two, isn't it? But I think for sure, if I can give you advice, it would be first lift every time, because it's perfectly groomed.
And if I could give you advice, ignore that, because I don't want you in my way when I'm getting on the first lift.
Yes, but there's no traffic, so you're not worried about anybody else. You're thinking purely about yourself, your own technique, so you can push yourself, you can progress. We spoke on a podcast recently about the current climate in Austria. I was up there yesterday, and I was saying it's the first time I could really turn my ski over carve, because I wasn't having to worry about traffic, and that's the benefit of getting up on the first lift.
That's the benefit of the pandemic.
That's the benefit of the pandemic.
That's why
the benefit of getting up early is kind of like living in a pandemic situation.
But that also brings you on booking a ski holiday is that issue, Jamie, of when people must come, because let's face it, if you're coming when you've got freedom of choice, you don't have children, you have flexibility, then hey, just avoid the kids' holiday holidays completely around Europe. Do not come when children have holiday. That's the key trick.
January is the best month of the season. It's the coldest month, so there's less moisture in the snowpack. As the temperature lowers, the moisture gets sucked out the pack, so the powder's really light. You've got snow guarantee. It's mainly adults in resort, so there's enough of an atmosphere in the Ep03.
Well, I think most people know that if you book anything during the kids' holidays, you're going to pay premium. Yeah. You're going to have worse service. In general, it's just a nightmare. And I think obviously parents don't either want to really not to come either when the kids are
forced to keep your kids in school.
You've got no choice. So for those people bringing kids on holiday, I would say again, you need to check some things out. I mean, for example, if you are, whatever country you come from, you've got to also look and say, which nation does this resort favour? Because some resorts are very, let's say, Dutch here. Other resorts are very English-German here. Other resorts might fall into Eastern European category and have Czech, Slovakian, Slovenia. So it's also interesting to establish what is the guest ratio and what are the ski school catering for. Luckily, I think if most people speak English, you're always going to be pretty easy finding an English speaking instructor to look after the kids or to find somebody to teach you. We'll come on to the subject, I think, in another podcast, Jamie, where we'll tackle, is it worth buying into the ski school or not? We'll look into that as a separate subject altogether. Yep. But we'll stay with the resort at the minute. So if we're giving our top tips when booking a holiday, are we giving tip 1, book with a holiday company, or book independent?
I think people who do it first time round, and it depends on which generation you are, maybe would use a tour operator because there's more guarantees there. They can fall back on them, and they can always go to them for some source of information.
And in fairness, sometimes they're cheaper anyway, because even when you independently build a package, they've got such good deals that it's actually just worth getting that deal with them, especially when you add the transfers from the airport, the extra cost. Let's say if something does go wrong and you have to independently source out information, whether it be first aid, a hospital, or something happens, having the rep to fall back on can be an assistance at first.
Yeah, it can be a blessing at times. But I have clients who've come back for multiple seasons and did the whole tour operator thing for a few seasons, and then I said, why don't you just book it yourself? Just go online and save them as a family around €1,000. So it's a nice.
If you know what you're doing, it's worth comparing.
So
that's what we're saying.
Yeah, always.
Okay. So actually, again, we can't give a top tip because sometimes a tour operator may be your best bet, and other times definitely going independent could be. So do you go top tip? Do you go the popularist, the big resorts, or do you actually source out something that can offer the same sort of package, but it's a bit like unheard of, the unknown resort?
I think, like you said, it's about weather. If you're going on a summer holiday, you want sun. If you're going on a winter holiday, you want good snow. So I think it's all about where's the snow going to be. So it depends on the time of year, but if you just go for elevation or glacier terrain, you're always going to have that snow surety. And I think that's what creates the holiday. When I look back and when I used to ski recreationally, it was all about those weeks where I had powder coming in, fresh snow coming in, was the best vacation.
Yeah, when it looks like a sort of Christmassy winter wonderland,
exactly.
Everybody's mood changes straight away. And, to get that, what you need to be in is a village that is higher up, for example. If a village sits at, like, let's say here in Capron where we are, although we're in a glacier resort where we go up to over 3,000 meters, the actual village is low down, it's 700. It's actually about 200 meters too low to get that really nice winter look all the time. Some years you get it, some years you don't.
Yeah, at the moment it's a bit
blah.
It looks a bit like.
But that said, tomorrow's coming like 40-50 centimeters of snow. So timing is something that you can't control, most of you, because you can't just drop of a hat, pick up and leave. That's a shame, because if you could, that would be my top tip. Don't book anything. Just wait. You're never going to be booked out. You're never going to be in a situation where you can't get to the resort you want to go to. There's always beds available nowadays. So wait if you can wait, and then look at the forecast, advanced forecasts, and say, right, it's coming now. now's the time to go for it. And just you need a good understanding of weather. Obviously, be aware of wind and direction and things like that you're not going to get caught out. But that would be, from our side, top tip regarding picking a different resort is don't just go where everybody's going. Stop going to these resorts because you, when you're out there, don't need 400 kilometers of piste.
Yeah.
You just don't need that. And I get it where recreational skiers want to do this, Jimmy. Oh, it's got 6 black runs there, but only 4 there. And it's got 26 black runs in this resort.
But it's the same questions we've said on previous podcasts. Are you actually skiing those runs? Are you just getting down? Are you surviving it? Like, do you know what skiing is? Not
well, assuming they are skiing it, does it matter?
I have, like, for me, you have your best runs on, like, reds or even, you know, steeper blues. It's, you know, the blacks aren't. For me, it's about the undulation. Yeah. It's about how playful the terrain is, as opposed to the gradient of this.
And when you find, as a good high end skier, a good run, a good pisted run that works for you, you'll tend to ski it, 7-8 times before you then move to another run. If you're just basically popping from one run to the other and traversing across to runs, it's covering the valley or whatever you want to do for whatever purpose, I don't know. But it's not what actually top skiers would do. We tend to favour certain areas because we know, even to a point of saying, we can take a ski run somewhere and say, we already know that ski run skis always best on the left side when you ski down it.
Yeah.
We know tips like that, for example.
But I think it's just like, look at where the sun's at. Like, the shady side of the mountain, nobody's going to be on in the morning until the sun comes out. So you've got the best snowpack over there. It's going to be colder, but it depends again. Is it a holiday? Are you there for training? It's all like.
Which is, a lot of people are there for a holiday, so we've got to remember that. And yes, you will want a resort that's not, maybe it's tiny, but you have to ask yourself the question of, is it really worth the value of going to these big known resorts like these Saint Antons, Verbier, Courchevel, Three Valley, wherever we want to talk about? No, it's not. You should look around at other places.
I'm going to go against you on that one. I say yes, it is during low season.
Or once in your life, maybe.
Yeah, but during high season when everybody's going there as well. I've been on pistes where all you're thinking about is the people behind you when they should be looking at you and you should be looking ahead. And you're worried about turning left and right because there's so much traffic on a run. Those times, like the February periods where it's high season, is I would try and go somewhere off grid where people don't know. It's unknown, because then you don't have to worry about everything else. And there's always going to be people there. There's always going to be enough atmosphere. There's always going to be at least one après ski bar and everything like that.
All right. Next top tip. Europe or Canada?
Canada.
Yeah, if you can be bothered. Canada, no, I agree actually, but if you can be bothered with the extra journey time,
it's exotic in the sense of we live in Europe, we ski in Europe, so for us it's a holiday, it's a vacation. Whereas
it is, but it's also a service. It's like there's a complete different level of service in somewhere like Canada as compared with Europe. They're still behind here. So, but you've got to remember that Canada is always of value to experienced skiers. Forget it if you're a beginner. Don't bother making that extra journey, money, cost. Make that journey after you've done a few seasons, I would have said. Secondly, be aware that there's a huge travel time back and forwards compared with just popping across.
Jet lag is a major thing for a few days. When
you have to do like a 10-day holiday at least.
Minimum.
Yeah, if you're going to Canada. But I have to admit, from a service point of view, from a terrain point of view, from the exotic idea, like you want to put it that way, food, etc., cost when you're in resort, etc., it's a cut above. But that's something for a later time. In a minute,
food, I would say for me, the Dolomites, like ski Italy, it's just insane.
Yeah,
if you want food, good wine, good coffee, you obviously have all these things here in Austria as well. But for my palate, yeah.
But you see, you're always balancing one or the other. Precipitation in the Dolomites, much drier.
Well, not right
drier.
Not right now.
Not right now, but normally far drier, and this is the problem. You have to balance it up. But yeah, you would get the kilometers there as well. So
that's for sure.
Yeah, so that's our side. I would say, maybe that's something you can look at.
On anything, we've kind of sat on the fence on everything, really.
No. I did say, like,
but definitely elevation, glacier terrain. You're always going to get snow. I think you don't need to go to a well-known resort to have a good time.
So the next top tip: ski school or no ski school?
So obviously I worked in ski school in the ski industry for a long time, in the recreational ski industry, and I would always say yes, but that's because my clients had a good time, had a good experience and learned something, but then I've seen some terrible lessons. So I think it's a hard thing because
you don't know what you're going to get a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it can really put people off. Either one, it can stop people coming into the industry again, ever coming skiing again, boarding, because they have such a bad experience with the ski because of the ski school. So I think it's good that if you guys can have some information before you go in or go online to book lessons, of looking for a seasoned, well experienced, someone who's done multiple seasons. Qualifications on everything. Just because you have a high qualification doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a good coach. Or
you
a
need
good
crack, and you need a bit of.
But yeah, you need a bit of. But I think it's
character.
It's if you're not happy with the product, let the ski school know.
At the start of the week, immediately. Yeah, immediately.
If you're not happy with the instructor that you've got or the product that you're receiving, you've paid for it. You're a client. You're allowed to complain.
And teach your friend, your sibling, whatever it might be, yourself, or get a ski instructor?
I'll get a ski instructor all day long. The person who's teaching you probably can't ski. No offense. Or can ski to a degree. Sorry, that's not particularly nice. Can ski to a degree, but doesn't mean he can teach. So yeah, I was a professional boxer, and when I came into the industry, 2 ski coaches asked me to teach them how to box. I could show them me boxing, but I couldn't break movements down. I couldn't necessarily put that product out there for them to understand. So I think it's really important to go to a ski school. But again, if you've had a bad experience from a ski school,
the issue is, I think a lot of people who are at the level where they've got like maybe 10 to 20 weeks and they offer to teach somebody, they're doing it for the right reasons, because they didn't enjoy their ski school experience and now they think they know more. That's the problem as well. But what they have to understand is it's not only going to affect the person you're trying to teach, but actually it's going to spoil your holiday, because you'll be surprised how difficult it can be to teach an absolute beginner and time consuming it is. And what you've done is paid for a very expensive holiday to ski the mountain, and you're stuck with this person for day on and day out on the nursery slope, because you won't be to move them from the nursery slope to a steeper run as quick as you think you can. And that's how accidents happen. So yeah, Jamie's right. Even if you did yourself have a bad ski experience learning, you need to revisit that and use your knowledge you now have to get a better instructor for that person. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, I think it's always like, you get told when you go through these qualifications, it's safety, enjoyment, learning. And that it is really, we say, I'm from the north of England, we say crack. That's so important, someone that you can get on with, that you're going to relax around and you can be yourself around, because then you're going to listen to that person and take on board that information and feel some progression. And as an instructor, it's baby stepping. Your husband might want you to rush so he can drag you along on the black runs, but it's about going at your pace. And developing at your own speed, and your instructor will know that. You might have been told by you, I want to be a black run skier by the end of the week. He's just going to make you a good skier where you're comfortable on all terrain, all snowpacks, hopefully by that time. So I think, take a lesson every time, but make sure that you're searching for the best you can get for your best value for money for yourself.
So in a nutshell and in a conclusion, when we're talking about people basically buying into a ski holiday, there's many options out there. Use as much material as you can. Use the tour operator's brochure if you like to get some idea of some of the main resorts. They're obviously going to be offering popular resorts, but if you think that what they're offering is the tip of the iceberg, because the number of resorts that are just in this region where I am now, within 10 to 15 minutes of my house, and would not be shown in any tour operators' brochures, is phenomenal. So what you're trying to discover is what's the local secrets, and that's the best thing. That's where you're going to save the money. That's where you're going to get a great experience for a holiday.
But that's also, talking about instructors, that's what your instructor should bring to the lesson as well. Obviously their vast experience of the area, taking you potentially to different resorts that your lift pass would cover. or little special unique huts for
Whereas
lunch
what
or
you
whatever.
find, and I think we need to do a separate podcast on this, is ski schools tend to work around their own comfort zone of saying, oh, we don't want to complicate things, so let's keep it simple by keeping people where we want them, and where we look good with big numbers can be an issue in the ski school. But that's a different, I think that's a complete different thing, not to confuse people. So Jamie and I didn't tell you anything on this podcast again. Basically, we just waffled on and didn't really come to any conclusions. It just sounds like what we do.
Just go out and have a good time. That's the main thing. Enjoy skiing. Come skiing. Come to
come to Catherine.
Well, join the industry. It's an amazing thing.
We'll catch up with you next time with SIA Austria.
Ciao for now.